If you're building a directory site and struggling with your actual listing pages for whatever it is your directory is about, maybe because you don't have the budget for a specific directory plugin, or if you're like me and you tried GeoDirectory and found it just to be too difficult to work with, I'm going to show you how I've been using the Kadence Blocks plugin, which is free, to make my directory page listings. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, to start with, I'm going to use Freychu's Discover Plasma page just because he shared it publicly, and I want to basically show you what he has done because he does use one of those directory plugins. I believe he does use GeoDirectory. And then I'm going to show you how we can replicate that, like I said, using the free Kadence Blocks plugin. So let's scroll on down here on his site and get us basically a location that we can basically make our own version of. We'll just click on the first one here. So what we're going to work on creating is basically this basic structure that we see here, which is the Google Maps, and then this Plasma Donation Center info. Now, I'm just going to use my Skip Blast website just to show you what this looks like. Obviously, this is not a directory website of mine. I didn't want to expose any of my own sites here. So I'm just going to show you what this would look like I said, if you were using the Kadence Blocks plugin. Like I said, this is the free version. I do have the paid version, but I do not have it installed on this particular site. So I'm showing you what you can do with the free version. So actually, the first thing I want to show you here is it looks like Frey is using a 2-column setup here on his page. That's something that you don't even need the Kadence Blocks plugin to actually do on your site. So we can just look here for columns, type it in up here, click on that, and then we want to do a 50-50 column. You can do it however you want. Looks like Frey's doing 50-50, so that's what we will do. And it looks like here the first side he has is this information block, right? So we'll just copy this. This isn't something I'm going to publish, obviously. I'm just showing you here as an example. So we will add in a heading. So we'll just pop that in there, right? And then we can see here he has these little icons, for the maps, the phone number, and then the link for the website. Well, we can actually do this, make it look very similar, if not identical. I'm not 100% sure on that, with this free Kadence Blocks plugin. So first, let's go ahead and just copy here the address. Like I said, we'll go back here and I'll show you just on the side here where the Kadence Blocks is. So what we're looking for is the icons list. That's how we're going to do this. It's essentially a bullet list, but we are using icons, right? So what we want to search for first, we'll go ahead and put this address here, but we don't want this little checkbox, right? So we want to look for an icon. I don't remember what that little maps one is called, so it might take us a moment to find it here. Let's just do a search. Okay, so map comes up. So you've got the line icons, which you could use, or you can use solid icons. It really just depends on, what you want to use, what looks good for your particular site. Often what I discover is maybe, when I go to look for phone number, it only has solid icons or it only has line icons. And so I kind of want those things to match. So what I'm going to choose here actually is, I really like this map one, but I don't think that's going to be what most people associate with a map. So I am going to go with something very similar to what Frey's using. So we'll change that right there. We'll go down here to our next line, which I believe was the phone number. Yep. So it looks like we actually got the exact same icon that Frey used. So we'll pop our phone number in here and let's look for a phone. Let's just type it in. Okay, so we have line icons and we have the solid icons. I think this is actually the one that Frey seems to be using. Yep. So we'll just use that, right? And then the final thing we had here is the website. So we'll copy that. See if we have a hyperlink option here. So we will X out of that. So let's just try maybe link. So yep, we have it here. So I don't know if Frey's actually using the free Kadence Blocks plugin or not, but you can see this looks very similar. Let me move that to what he has done. His is obviously in color though. That's never something I really bother with. I don't even know if you can do that with the Kadence Blocks plugin. Let's see here. Style. So let's see. Here we go. So it looks like we can change the color. So yeah, you can make it look identical to Frey's. Let's go ahead and do that since that's what our objective is here. Okay, so that is going to be in our first side of the column, right? So now we're in column the side 2. We need to get a map in here. Like I said, I'm pretty sure Frey is using the GeoDirectory plugin. Not only is it a paid plugin, but I found it to be basically quite the learning curve. I don't want to waste my time learning something like that when I can just do it the easy way here for free. So again, we will look under what comes with Kadence Blocks and you will see maps here. I'm not sure why it put it down in the bottom. Oh, probably because I did it on the side. So let me undo that. Just close that here. Normally I'm just using short codes here, so let's click on Google Maps here because I've already done it. So when this pops up, at least it always is for me like this, it's always on the Golden Gate Bridge, but that's not the address we want, right? So we want the address of, whatever, the business is that we are, putting on our directory listing page. So we will copy that. Then you just click here, paste and in, and there it is. Now you can zoom in if you want, you can zoom out if you want, it's really up to you and how you want to display this, on your directory listing pages. You can change other stuff here. I would just leave it, with the default. Now the great thing about this is you don't actually need to set up the API key. You can, of course. I never have on my sites and it displays just fine. Now that may stop at some point, I don't know. I'm not super technical with this kind of stuff with the Maps API, but for my use case, I have been displaying maps using this exact plugin without having the Map API key. So that may be something you want to keep an eye on in case, like I said, I don't know for sure that you don't need it, so you might. So something to keep in mind. I think you can also change the size. Yeah, you can change the size here. So if you want it smaller so that things line up a little better, or you can leave it big. That really just depends on what you want. Looking back at Frey's page here, he also has another block down below where he has the hours. That same little clock icon you can find, in that icon list. So if I wanted to do that here, I would go back to this column, click the plus button, create a new icon list. We definitely want to make sure we get the one that is the Kadence block one. Let's see here. So let's say we wanted, I think it was a clock, right? So let's see here. So yep, there it is. Put your little clock here. Whichever one you want, change your color. And that's how you can basically get the same kind of look that you see on other people's directory websites, right? Now, one thing that you cannot do with the Kadence plugin is pulling Google reviews. I know I've seen people on their directory sites pulling in reviews for businesses from Google Maps. That is something that does require the API key. You cannot do that with the Kadence Blocks plugin. I don't even think you can do it with the paid version. So like I don't really have a use case to need to have those reviews. So that if that is something that you need to do, that's something that you'll need to look for how to do on your own. Now let's just preview this page and I'll show you what this would look like after you put this into your site. So see, it looks great, right? You've got almost identical to what we're seeing here. Frey's obviously done, some stuff with having the background a different color and things like that, so that his, different widgets here on the page really pop. But if you are basically, trying to build your directory listing pages as cheaply as possible and honestly as easily as possible, I have found that the Kadence Block plugin, the free version, is really all you need because it can do everything that you see these other plugins do for the most part. Like I said, if you want to pull in reviews, you can't do that with this particular plugin. And maybe you want to put a picture, up here that shows, what this looks like. You could, just click here and click add an image and put that above that if you wanted to. You can also resize your columns. Maybe you want this side being smaller and the map being bigger, or vice versa. It's really up to you. It's just something you can play with to get the kind of look that you want, like I said, without really needing to pay for those directory plugins that give you more functionality than you probably need, and then you save that time of really having to learn those, because this is a basic WordPress plugin, which I love. And the great thing about this is I like to use one of those copy and paste, not copy and paste, I guess it is copy and paste actually, one of those like plugins that duplicates pages for you. So basically you create this, for one city or one state, and then you can just basically copy it so you have your framework all set up for the other states. Then just go in and change the details. Give me just one moment here. I will go to my plugins page and I will show you which copy plugin I am using. Okay, so this duplicate post plugin, this is the plugin that I have been using to basically make my workflow a little better in terms of, I want the same format on every listing page, so I'm going to do it once, and I'm going to copy it for every other, listing page that I need. And then basically I just go in and change the details. I found that saves me a lot of time. This plugin is free. I've used it, I've used it actually on niche sites, several years back. I'm using it today on my directory sites, like I said, to speed up my workflow. And those are just two of the, plugins that I'm using to make my directory sites. Like I said, it is the Kadence Blocks plugin. It is completely free. You do not have to be using the Kadence WordPress theme. You can use any WordPress theme that you want with this. And like I said, I feel like it gives you, a pretty good look for your listing pages, compared to somebody who, is using a premium paid directory plugin, like Frey has said that he uses. If you guys want, I can basically do a longer video showing you from start to finish how I'm building my WordPress directory websites. Obviously this Kadence Block plugin is just a small portion of my overall process. If that's something that would be useful for you, go ahead and leave me a comment down below and let me know. If I get enough interest, I'll try to get that recorded for you guys really soon. And if you have any other questions, about using these plugins or anything like building, a directory site on WordPress, go ahead and leave me that comment down below as well. And I will help you if I can. If I do not know the answer, I will try to find it for you. Thanks for watching.